guys, welcome to the Homestead. So today we're going to talk about some garden issues that I saw on Twitter this past week. I thought it'd be a good video to review and share with you guys because many of you may be having some of the same issues that this gardener you're about to see is having. But before we get into that real quick, this is sponsored by Shepherd's Crook Coffee. I just got my last order from Shepherd's Crook in. I've been a long time subscriber to their coffee packages that they sell. This one's from Guatemala. It's got notes of almond, caramel, cocoa, and molasses, and this one's the Homesteader. And it's got a light, medium roast level, mild yet full of flavor. I love getting my packages in. This is what keeps me in coffee. And then also, they always send a couple cards. This one's a Bible verse from Proverbs, you know, with the Shepherd's Crook stuff on it. And then also another company that I have been a long time user of and subscriber to. I guess subscriber because I basically order every so often from her. And this family here, Grafted and Grace Creations, they have a whole bunch of soaps that they offer at their website, graftedandcreations.com. I've talked about them before on the channel. And so they partnered with Shepherd's Crook to make a coffee smelling soap, which I have tried and I thought it was absolutely phenomenal. I don't know if they have any on the website now. You'll have to go to the website and check graftedandcreations.com and get that for you today. But definitely get subscribed. This is the only soap I use. This is the only coffee I use. So, you know, check them out. I'll leave links in the description below. But after that, so now we got that out of the way, I wanted to go ahead and talk about this video that came up because a lot of people every year talk about different issues, and this is a fantastic video to showcase the fact that really it comes down to your soil. Let's take a look at the video. So right before I even start the video, this is what we're looking at here. So she posted this on Twitter and she's like, what is wrong with my garden? Why do my tomatoes look like this? And, you know, the leaves are dying on the lower branches. The ground looks completely dry. I mean, some of her tomatoes are turning, they're ripening. So that's good. But as we go through here, there's a number of things I'm going to point out. Number one, there's obviously some soil condition issues and there's some fungus issues. But let's go ahead and start the video, hit play. Now, right there, let's stop there. This thing needs to be pruned. So I have said long and often on my channel, even bad pruning is better than no pruning. You can completely mess this up. Completely mess up pruning. And as long as you've pruned, you've done a better job than not pruning. So that is going to spread fungus and disease and insect pest pressures more than anything else in your garden. So these other ones that are staked up over here look like they've been kind of managed better. However, these lower branches should have been clipped off a long time ago. You want to give them air breathability, but these over here, it looks like maybe they were trying to be staked up by this hoop right here. Maybe it's part of a hoop house or some kind of thing here, but they are not pruned at all. And all you're doing is spreading disease. This gives a place for insects to stand up and just have their way with that plant. And then whatever happens to this plant, any diseases will spread to other plants in your garden, or it will spread to your soil, which is something else we're going to get into as we go through this video. It's a short video. It's not very long. So it looks like they've kind of mulched around here. And I think in the comments she said this was straw, like wheat straw, which is fine. I've used wheat straw before many times in my garden. However, look how dry that is. And she says that they've had tons of rain, which is probably one of the reasons why they've had so many fungus issues. These are absolutely fungus issues on these plants. You know, reason why these leaves are dying and looking very unhealthy. But you've got lots of water. But you have ground that's not been turned. You don't need to till it. I've told people you don't need to till. Stop tilling your garden. All you need to do is lasagna layer a whole bunch of things and then introduce in that garden, if you haven't before in the past, some red wiggler worms, and they will till the garden for you nonstop year round. They'll do it very shallow at times during the year, and they'll do it very deep at times during the year, depending on the weather. But they will till your garden. And then they will allow a whole bunch of other microbes and microbiology to come into that garden and also till and work that soil. But there is no way, not near enough mulch on this garden to keep in the moisture. That rain is coming in, and because of that hard clay ground, it's running off, and then it's immediately drying out. Let's continue with the video. Yeah, more plant right there that needs to be pruned. This is just horrible pruning. It's non-existent basically. You've got to open up those lower, wherever that stalk is, needs to be have breathability. And you see all this dead stuff in there? That's all mold and mildew issues on the plant, fungus issues on the plant. And you don't need a spray. All you need to do is open it up and let that plant breathe. All that yellowing of those leaves, all that can be avoided. These plants are on their way out, which, you know, to be honest, she's getting some tomatoes. Okay, they look like they're in good size. You know, your tomato plants aren't going to last forever. They are eventually going to die. And so you get whatever yield you can from them, and then, you know, by September, you know, time frame, it's all over, and they're on their way out, and you've gotten what you need to put in the pantry for the year. But if you want to get the most yield possible and the healthiest yield possible, and if you do it right, you can still be, depending on where you are, you can still be getting green tomatoes in October, which is why we usually make fried green tomatoes in October, because that way I know they're never going to switch over colors, and I know I can use those for fried green tomatoes and have a couple nights of that because they're not going to turn red. So, but if you do it right, you can have that long of a plant exist, and you can give it the best life possible in order to get the most yield possible. I don't care about making my plant happy. I just know that happy plants, you know, make good, you know, yield good produce. Watching the rest of this video, you can see just how dry that soil is, and oh man, it just needs help. It needs lots of layering on that garden. It's lots of disease and issues. Yeah, it's like a hoop house that she's got this in with no covering. So going back to my point, you don't need to till. What I do year after year is I put a whole bunch of layers of different things on my garden. That can be manures, that can be hay, that can be straw, that can be wood chips, that can be ground up leaves, that can be rice hulls, because we're here in Arkansas and there is more east of us. There's a lot of rice farmers there, and so some of that works their way here. There are some rice farmers actually in our area, and they drop the hulls off. They just dump them, and it's free for anybody who wants to go get them. But that's just one more thing you can add to your garden as a layer. There's so many things you can add. Last year I added rabbit manures. I've added sheep manures because we have our own sheep, and they in the wintertime in the corral, they just poop in the same place all winter long. I can go in with my tractor and just scoop that up and just dump it on the garden, spread it with it, you know, like a rake or something. And so it's just free dirt. And all that hay that gets scooped up with it, the worms get into that. The worms will eat up all the wood chips. They'll eat up all the leaves. They'll eat up all the hay. They'll eat up all the straw. And then in the springtime, I put my ground cloth over that. I use a BPA-free. It's free of phthalates. It's free of PFAS. There's no microplastics in it. It's an organic ground cloth. You get DeWitt. DeWitt is the company that makes it. And if you put that on all of that soft layers you've put on over the wintertime, what you do is when you walk out on that garden with that ground cloth down on it, it feels like you're walking on a soft waterbed. And that way you know that microbiology is happening underneath that ground cloth. And that DeWitt ground cloth helps provide, it's like a massive shade cloth. It keeps moisture from being sucked out of the ground and allows moisture to come into the ground. It's absolutely phenomenal. I will never garden without that stuff. And people are worried about the microplastics, but again, there's no PFAS, there's no phthalates, there's no BPA. It's BPA free. It's listed as organic. It's polypropylene, which is different than polyvinyl. A lot of that cheap garden stuff you find out there, that's polyvinyl. Yes, you will put microplastics in your garden if you use that stuff. And there's some other plastics out there I would stay away from as well. But polypropylene, absolutely. I'm totally fine with polypropylene. My earliest exposure to polypropylene was probably in my late teens, as I joined the military and was sent over into Germany, and we were issued polypropylene over there. It is absolutely the best way to stay warm. You didn't go anywhere in Germany without your polypros, especially in the wintertime. So polypros is a great invention, and one of the few things that modern technology has created. It's like everyone, I like my chainsaw. I'm not going to cut down a tree with an axe when I have a chainsaw. If Daniel Boone had a chainsaw, he'd have used it. There are some things that come out in these days, this modern life that we're all living in that are worth using. And ground cloth, polypropylene ground cloth, is absolutely worth using that. So again, it's the layering. It's the layering, and you're gonna trap that moisture in. You're gonna give a good number of 6 inches. Like somebody left a comment on that video. Have you done the finger test? Can you put your finger in the soil? And you can look at that soil and know there's no way you're gonna put a finger in there, guys. I can get almost half my forearm in my soil. I can dig with my hand and get almost all of my arm in my soil because it's soft. It's this supple ground that's full of air and full of moisture and full of microbes and full of living things. Mycelium is in there. All of these things work together to grow a very good garden. And if you allow that to grow, if you allow that to take place naturally, you're going to have a fun. My tomatoes this year and almost every year are rock stars. Rock stars. And the pests usually will avoid these healthy plants once you build healthy soil. Which brings me to the final point I want to make in this video. Years ago, I was trying to raise sheep and I wasn't doing a very good job at it. This was back when I first moved here. And I had a guy who was much wiser than me telling me, Zach, you got to stop raising sheep and start raising grass. If you're going to be a good sheep farmer, you've got to be a good grass farmer. It's the same with tomatoes in your garden. If you want to grow good tomatoes, healthy, vibrant tomato plants, you've got to build good soil first. Otherwise, you're not going to have good, vibrant tomato plants. It just is the way it is. I'll leave you with that today. Okay, just letting you know, again, yeah, Shepherd's Crook. I'll put the links in for that too, and also for the soap. If you listen, I wish I had time to make my own soap. I don't have time to make soap. So I buy soap that it's already made for me, and that's what I use because I don't want to buy a bunch of the store-bought nonsense. And then also perfectpickler.com. Now's the time if you're harvesting a whole bunch of stuff out of your garden, you can go to perfectpickler.com and you can pick up a book like this. I think it's like $4 or $5 on the website. Perfectpickler.com has all kinds of recipes included with it on how to ferment your vegetables that you're pulling out of your garden. Or you can buy the kits. The kits over at perfectpickler.com. If you don't have a kit yet, you should be a fermenting fool right now. Fermenting everything. What are you doing? You're fermenting. It's fermenting season. Perfectpickler.com can help you do that. And I also appreciate all you guys out there who are sharing that link on social media, perfectpickler.com. Every time you share that link, perfectpickler.com, or one of the recipes, the many free recipes over at that website, you're helping us in our rankings in the search engine, so I really appreciate that. So continue to do that. If you have a website or if you have a YouTube channel and you want to review a Perfect Pickler kit, send me an email over at perfectpickler.com and I'll try to get a kit out to you and so you can review that on your website and include a link. So, all right. Love you guys. See you next time in the Homestead. Bye. Have you ever gone to a health food store and seen all those small bottles of probiotics in your cooler section? Man, can they be pricey. Are you really getting all you need to improve your gut health from those expensive bottles? How viable are they? Most of those products claim to give you between 8 and 15 strains of gut-healthy healing bacteria. Think of each strain of bacteria as a different factory in your gut. Each factory is responsible for breaking down that food in its own way. The more factories you have, the more the food is broken down and the easier the food is absorbed and digested by the body. A 2018 study published by the National Library of Medicine shows that one fermented head of cabbage can produce up to 114 strains of beneficial bacteria. That's a lot more food factories than you're getting from that expensive pill bottle. And that's just cabbage. Imagine the probiotics when you add garlic, onions, pepper, and more to that ferment. PerfectPickler.com and its home fermentation kits provide you with everything you need to get started making your own gut-healthy food factories from the comfort of your own kitchen. PerfectPickler.com even provides a jam-packed recipe book with many of our kits. Visit PerfectPickler.com and start fermenting your own veggies to begin your journey to better gut health. That's PerfectPickler.com. Hey guys, did you know you can become a patron of an American Homestead? They get access to private videos, and we send them gifts from the homestead that we make here on the homestead. And we also enter our patrons into special giveaways that are only available to them. And before you go, please check out these other great videos. Go ahead, click. Oh wait.